Ian and Dianne Haggerty here. We're standing here in one of our fields of cereal rye. This farm's called Prospect Pastoral. It's 24,000 hectares. Actually, no, it's 26,000 hectares. 300 k's northeast of Perth.
Yeah, looking at the rye flowering beautifully at the moment. Hear all the native bees buzzing around, so they must be having a bit of a good time at the minute. So this will go down to Perth and feed a few bakeries in Perth that make a beautiful rye product.
Yeah, so this farm's farmed under natural intelligence farming practices. So it's a total natural farm run on natural systems. You know, that's why you can hear right now, which you probably can't pick up on that, a big hum in the background, which is just heaps of bees, a lot of native bees. Found a lot of, fairly rare blue-banded bee. So it's just wonderful to be able to farm on large-scale agriculture, 60-odd thousand acres or more, but just in total sync with nature.
The beauty of these plants is that they haven't had any synthetic fertilisers put on them, so they rely on the microbial system within the soil to balance the nutrition in the correct ratios and support with a lot of microbial integrity. The microbes actually access the nutrient far and wide within the soil profile to provide the plant what it needs as it requires it.
The key of this farm here, we've got a good community of people on farm here, is to farm as close as we can to natural systems and then getting that food with its full integrity through to the people. I don't know if people really understand, once you take out all the synthetics and the insecticides and fungicides and let natural processes take over, the plant grows completely differently. So the whole microbiome, the nutrient density of that plant is enhanced. And if we can get that through to the people through the right food chain, that's our goals.
So one of these rye grains, once it's harvested and transported down to Perth, can have up to 9 billion microorganisms on and within it. So being processed with a nice stone mill, so there's no heat involved, and very gentle milling capacity that retain that nutrient in the grain, but also the microbial system that's within it. So the bakers have been describing that the dough, when it's created, is very alive and behaves very differently to typical flours. So it's pretty exciting to see the life come right the way through into the food.
So when you hear of today, everyone's talking about the microbiome and immune system health and that. When you look at one grain of rye or wheat, can have up to 9 billion microbes. That's 9 billion on one little grain. We'll produce 15 to 18,000 metric tonnes of cereal this year on this farm with natural intelligence processes. So you think how many individual grains there is in, say, 17,000 metric tonnes. So it's a lot of health-rich, enabling foods that we can get through to the community by just changing systems and doing this right.
And working with the bakers at the other end to ensure that it's handled with the similar level of care and attention. That's what we've got with the fellas in Perth at Wilder, Miller and Baker, do a sterling job of making sure they maintain that integrity and then bring their creative skills and abilities to create beautiful foods which we all benefit from, which is pretty exciting.
So realistically, it's a whole collaboration. We only play one part of it, and that's the first part of caring for soil and country and producing this food, but the next part is actually getting it through to the consumer base, getting it through the bakeries and whichever way you want to do it, whether it be mueslis or whatever you want to do, or through to the people, and then you as the consumer, by participating with us in using these products. Di and I started off in the Kimberley of Western Australia, up in Derby. We had a business up there, and it was a BP franchise, and we had a lot of Aboriginal communities actually that we used to deal with up there. I think it was well over 100, and that really set us up dealing with those First Nations people, and especially the elders. We were only very young in those days. We were only in our 20s, and a lot of the elders were in their 80s. But the learning we got from those First Nations people, I think, helped set us up to where we're here today. That fast forwarded it. We put a $100,000 deposit on a 1,600 acre, 650 hectare small farm here in the eastern Wheatbelt, and which wasn't a very good farm. It was known to be one of the worst farms, and we've grown it from there, you know, using these natural systems of farming, and it's been extremely successful and grown that up to the size that it is today and where it is. So yeah, like, it's a lot of hard work, you know, 7 days a week from our whole team, but you know, realistically, if you enjoy what you're doing and you're working for good purpose, and then you see the results, that the pleasure that people can get out of A, the produce, but B, being able to immerse themselves in the environment, that's all that you need, you know, that's what you need out of life.
Found out that, you know, transferring from a conventional system into one focused more on nature, it actually meant that you actually had less work to do per hectare, because you weren't having to be checking crops all the time, looking for diseases or insects or anything. All those things sort of sorted themselves out as the plants became more balanced with their microbial function. So we were able to then expand and run more land and transform more land into a healthier state, because we weren't having to spend so many hours on each individual hectare. And we run sheep as well. About 50% of the program is a Merino sheep program, and those animals are extremely healthy, and so as long as they got plenty of water and shade and they're safe in their paddocks, they really don't require a lot of human intervention. So it makes it a lot less workload there too. So the whole system has actually supported itself a lot, so that we've been able to grow to the size we are today by not having to run around crazy, even though we still go 7 days a week, because that's what you like to do. You like to be out there in the paddocks and checking the sheep and checking what it all looks like, because it gives a lot back to you doing that.
Yeah, life's for getting out there, having a go, and there's nothing wrong with having a go, you know, and if you enjoy doing that and you see positive change and it helps others, that's what drives you forward. There's 24 hours a day and you only sleep 7 or 8 of them, so it's a fair bit of time.
Like yesterday when we went out to the salt lake and saw the little beetle, all these new things you see, and a new thing from nature every day, whether it be a new plant, a new flower, new insect, new birds. That's what it's all about really. It's pretty rewarding.